morning, journaling family, community, loves. Um, Thanks for being with me. I really like this time that we share together. Um, it kind of helps me co-regulate, and it's nice to feel like I'm sharing a little bit of what feels like a really juicy creative space with others. So it means a lot that you join me for this. Let's go ahead and do a little stream of consciousness writing because this is what we do here. um, and we'll process after. So let's begin with just a little connection to ourselves, to the environment we're in. I am in my living room in Los Angeles on my couch next to my Kleenex that I was using because I had a good cry last night. I've got my journal. I like to put it on top of a pillow because I feel like I like to recline when I'm journaling to be comfortable, as opposed to sometimes I'll do it at a table, but I'm feeling cozy today and it just gives a little support. 3 words in how I'm feeling entering space is uncertain, really tired, ready for change. I know those weren't like succinct words, but those are 3 little snapshots of how I'm feeling. Um, if you'd like to take a moment and just check in with yourself and share 3 words as well, I would love to hear them in the comments. If you feel like sharing, or just note them, take a note for yourself and connect. Um, there is a little outdoor noise right now, so I don't know if that'll come through on the mic or not, but you're always welcome to put on your own ambient music or whatnot, unless you like the silence of your home as well. And my water today, nice and cold because it's actually quite warm, and instead of my tea. Okay, so here we go. Um, for me, it is August 27th, and it is a Friday, 11 o'clock in the morning. 3 pages, stream of consciousness writing. Deep breath in, connecting to your consciousness, connecting to your thoughts. Exhale. Again, deep breath in, being aware of your thoughts, connecting to your consciousness, and exhale. Those phrases may land differently for you. And deep breath in, pulling in what you want and releasing anything that you need to put onto the page. Okay, here we go, 3 pages. Okay, okay. We did it, we did it, we did it. If you're not done yet, just go ahead and push pause. You may want to have a drink of water. If you want to use the restroom, go for it. Sometimes when I go through my pages, I feel like relief and released afterwards. And other times I feel like almost like, whoa, like into it, like darker, deeper, like more of a core thing. And yesterday, even more. Yesterday and today, I feel like I'm really going into like the deeper experiences, something in my subconscious that's like, it's like I'm afraid to enter into it. It's like I don't know if it's wanting to come out or wanting to be hidden, but like sneaking out. Like there's this sort of new level of some sort of subconscious shadow work that I feel like I'm in the midst of doing right now. One thing I've noticed is that like when I start to do stream of consciousness writings, it really starts to tap you into, once you've been doing it for a while, it taps you into your intuition. It may at the top as well for you. Sometimes it can be very mundane, and sometimes it can be very intuitive, and sometimes it can feel like the thoughts and words are coming from your thoughts, and sometimes you can't keep up with your thoughts. And sometimes it almost feels to me like when I do practice, like consciously practices too, but it's like the words are forming out of some sort of a feeling I have either in my body or even sometimes that I'm resonating with outside of my body somewhere. And it's like I turn my mind off and I let my pen go. And I often don't even know what I've written until I read it back. So that's sort of, in some ways, yesterday and today, I've been tuning into a fair amount of that kind of energy. I usually try to anyways, but sometimes it's on the lighter side and I feel like it's been on the darker side lately. And I've had some like really intense dreams the last couple nights, all about like fear of entering the subconscious and like anger coming out as like violence and aggression in my dreams, in my imagery, in my vividness. You may or may not be in a place like that now or have ever been in a place like that before, but I think it's for those of us who are into this style of work, that is really about like going within and finding ways to express in some sort of fluid external expression, whether that's through the kind of practice we're doing now with journaling, or whether it is painting or moving or any other kind of just something where you choose to connect to like almost like the underneath or the metaphor around some sort of environment or experience, and then let that kind of flow without overthinking. I find those of us who choose and practice to do that, there's can often be both light and dark experiences of that, and that sort of yin and yang kind of experience of wholeness, where sometimes we go into our dark to find the light in the center. And sometimes it feels all light and centered, and then there's this like core darkness, and neither one is right or wrong or good or bad or better than the other. But I think when we can start to learn our own inner patterns of like how our experiences are showing up, we can kind of connect a little bit more deeply to the practice and possibilities of how we choose to enter that space. A lot of, for me, violent imagery comes up, and instead of shutting down the part of me where the violent imagery is coming up from and being violent to it or being avoidant of it, I've been doing my best to kind of like rehabilitate, get to know, be curious about, that energy. It's sort of like with the story of Buddha inviting Mara to tea, Mara being sort of the more demon god that comes to incite fear and violence. And Buddha has to figure out how to be in relationship with. And eventually it's not that Mara goes away, it's that when Mara shows up, Buddha just invites Mara to tea and sort of spends time. And so when our violent insides kind of come up, how is it that you or we as humans or collective community can be with that and invite that part of the experience to tea? And we in our bodies, like we all have our own nervous system, right? So our nervous system is going to run through different experiences of needs. And sometimes our own experience is going to take priority, and we have to remove ourselves from a situation that's feeling as like a threat. And at the same time, when we feel threat coming from inside of us, if we can be with that part of us, because we can't get away from that, right? We can't get away from ourselves. You can suppress it, you can avoid it, you can do all of that. And I'm not saying that there isn't time and space to use that approach, because I think, human systems are really smart, and we cope and we adapt in ways that we need to. So that's been you, or that is you. I don't want to throw shade on that, but also I choose to, as much as possible, kind of go at it a more inner, kind of dark, deeper way, and let the evolution of my own experience kind of dictate the needs of how I relate to my external environment based on what's coming up in my internal needs. Because often the violence that comes up is an unmet need inside of me. So if I can learn to be interrelational with that part of me that feels violent, then I can ask it questions, see what it needs, and then from there adjust the way I show up to meet the needs of what feels violent inside of me, so that I'm not violent inside of my surroundings. So with that said, I'm actually gonna read you yesterday's and today's, because I think I go through some of this in yesterday's journal. I think it might be helpful or interesting or nice to put in the space between us, kind of show what that is. So August 26, 2021. I am a pressure cooker. I am a solemn sense of solvency. I retreat and retract and compress and expand from the resilience of my own density. Sometimes we are a hard thing that is also necessary. Connection to others is not always the goal. Connection to self can allow a course correct when dynamics are out of our body's favor. We must be willing to get messy, dirty in our love for self. Sometimes honoring our own needs for safety ripples out in ways that others experience in varied ways. When we are truly deeply sourcing our own liberated spirit, the demolition can be born and personal integrity. Now, the truth of the matter is, we must retain a strong spine, soft belly, open heart, and clear throat. Sometimes from that space, we can create change that serves the healthiest direction of our own lives. The reality of it is that conscious consideration flies in the face of certain self-care and some dynamics. This is where I am at now. There is always evolution, but my needs currently are held in clearing the decks of my own love. Shudder to think that what I feared all along was my own power and presence, even as I journeyed toward finding ways to access them through external models and others' ideas, opinions about me. The rites of my own passage are for me to feel through and participate in the design of. The grace and golden foray of lots of stern and shuddered sounds grows taller in the state of my own wisdom. Calming cruelty has a necessity behind the discord of my life. You won't warrant any special news, because sometimes the tender space of spirit folds in on you like a blanket for rest. The tired spaces reset a calm, and you rest in the arms of your own love. The tender caring of words and rituals speak into the shallows of something inside your heart. The going home of it all calls into being and form in strong suit, voice. So I start to have a conversation now with a voice that I wrote this, and then I was like, that's not me, that's a voice. And I was like, I want to ask the voice some things. So, voice. You don't know the way home, and I do. It is inside us. Won't you listen to me? Me. I am. Is that not what I'm doing? Voice. You are, and yet I feel exasperated. I don't totally know why. Me. If that exasperation had a voice, what would it say? So we're basically differentiating between the voice that was coming through in the exasperated part, because the voice didn't seem to know where that was coming from. So now we've pieced out exasperation. So we have me, voice, and exasperation. Exasperation says, I hate you, 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 I hate you. Voice. Exasperation sounds shrill. So it was like this high pitched, like screechy noise. It's a high pitched trauma voice. Me. Yes, I sense that too. Voice. What do we do? Me. I mean, I think we get to know her. How does that sound? Voice. You know, it's funny, but I felt that exasperation creep up again when you said that. Me. I felt that. Yeah. Voice. Hi, and then didn't continue, and voice says instead, I can't be in connection with her, meaning exasperation. It feels triggering to me. Do you sense you could facilitate this dialogue? Me. Yes, I can step into it. Though when I do, it seems like I have a hard time differentiating where you and her, the exasperation, begin and end. I'm curious if this is something that needs to be interrelational between the two of you. Voice. Yes, I feel the same. I feel the same thing happen, actually. I'm uncomfortable, but I think you may be right. Exasperation says, you never listen to me, to the voice. You never listen to me. You just go on and go forth and aren't taking my needs into account. You're just pushing forward and not waiting for me. It feels awful because I'm here too. Don't you get that I'm here too? Just because you're good at all sorts of things and really fast and quick ways and quick in certain ways doesn't mean you're not leaving me behind. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Voice. What do you need to feel better? Exasperation. For you to shut up. Just shut up already. Why don't you? I can't get going the way you do, and you're running all over the place. And where am I? Voice. What do you need? Exasperation. Rest. All caps. Lots of underlines. So what happened there is after I found that out, I was like, oh, because aside from that exasperated voice that was very clearly in a trauma experience and had some needs that weren't being met, I felt really good. I'm doing like my Marissa's moon magic, where I'm doing like astrology and some tarot readings, and I've been posting that and paying for little ads, and I'm doing well. Like my views are just like the last 2 of my 3 videos views were like just under 3,000. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good for my first couple videos. So, and then I like to be here with you guys too, and kind of finding my way through how I want to continue to foster a way of showing up in this journaling community that feels really nourishing to me. And I think I'm finding it more and more, and I'm really liking it. And I'm really liking you guys. And yet there was this voice that was like, trauma loop, you need to shut down. I need to rest. My needs aren't met. So my practice lately has been, for a long time, has been, don't override the voice that has the most needs, the most unmet needs. Let's go be with the part of us that is in some sort of triggered trauma mode and meet its deep, deep, deep core needs, which were rest. And so yesterday, I did my journaling in the morning. I had that, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go rest. I slept the whole day, like the whole day, and I realized how much privilege and incredible luxury I have in my life to even be capable of doing that. And it's like I woke up at 9 p.m. the entire day after having a full night's rest, or at least a decent amount. I slept. And then I got up for a couple hours, maybe 5 hours, watched some stuff till like 2 in the morning, and was just like, whoa, I had like another cry attack, or not attack, but like had an emotional upwelling while watching something, and then was like, oh my gosh, I need to go back to bed, and then slept straight through this morning. So clearly, like that voice, it needed rest. It needed something to be processed. It really deeply desired and required some sort of rest and restoration. And the thing is, if I hadn't been doing my journaling process, if I didn't notice that there was like exasperation coming up and then going like, oh, but the voice isn't exasperate. There's like something else under it. Like, can we talk to that part and really like disentangle that particular experience and then learn how to like me and the voice be kind to it and meet its needs? I wouldn't have been able to have the conscious awareness to go and do that. And I see and sense and suss out in my own body that like I have it, had a, like the dreams were scary last night, and there's more I think that's going to be processing and upwelling. But I've done this kind of work for years and years and years now, and what I do know is that when I commit to going at it this way, where I'm like, let's go into the darkness, let's go into the needs of the trauma, and like let's meet those needs, what happens is that like holistically my sense of self and stability in the world and the place around me tends to become more integrated and more aligned to what feels secure to me, as opposed to trying to navigate through life in a way where like I'm afraid that I'm going to be traumatized or triggered at any moment, because there's so much active like resilient trauma. Like we can have resiliency, but our trauma, like the system of trauma, there's sort of this like, until we go in there and really do that work, I've found for me and for the other people that I work with, whether they're performing arts students or some of the work I do with self-care for performers, or with my moon magic and artists, or just living bodies that are trying to find their way through, that there's like this really core deep part of ourselves that needs to be tended to. And I think that's reflective in society as well, when we can really be with the part or parts that are hurting the most, and not make it, not make that I hate you, I hate you, I hate you mean something about me, right? Or you're going too fast, I can't keep up. Not let it be mean something about me, but have it be like, well, what's going on? What is it that you need if we are in this container together, right? It's my psyche, so we are in this container together, right? Or if you're in a community or a collective somehow with a bunch of others, and there is this agreement to be in this container, and how do you connect with the experience of pain that might be happening, and not dismiss those needs, but to really hear them out. So here's today's. That was yesterday's. My nose is all itchy. Okay. August 27th, 2021. Here we are in the blank space together, tending to the salve of what conscious community could be. The love space, the connecting welcome, relating to how you move into the world. What is the signifier? What is the blanket and tool of recovery? I do not know the answer. Messy. That's loud. Wait. Garbage truck. Pause till it leaves, actually. Okay, garbage truck gone. Yep. the love space, the connecting welcome, relating to how you move into the world. What is the signifier? What is the blanket and tool of recovery? I do not know the answer of messy, wizened, old, cranky parts of myself. I have been in recovery from life's hardships and emotional pain for so very long. This is also a place to bring my pain and share in a hopefully self-regulated way about all of that. The distance between you and I can sometimes speak folds and waves of some kind of distant memory. I do not know the innermost waves of your heart, but I can sense how my body responds in kind. I also have practiced my skills of perception and honed their methods well, yet often this can be accompanied by distance through the ethers of my youth. I am not so young as I look. I am not so young as I feel. There can be a confusion here, especially as my life and lifestyle struggles with responsible consistency. I really want to find a measure of consistent flow, dropping in and drawing lines on the page and in the space between you and me. The tenderness falls short of a fair kind of smothered uncertainty. I don't want to be experiencing the pain of abuse anymore. I do not find a way to recover. You do not find a way to recover your own safety by disconnecting from the source of who you are. Stand clear in the essence of your own being. She is truth. You can see her within you. The tender places call home, and the soft surrendered parts speak volumes of the findable joystick in the mud. Are you judging your own need to rest and recover again? You need lots of alone time, you know that. Blankets of softness caress the calm of my own home, and the space of my own window pleases me directly. How can softly surrendered monstrous calling of my own home and heart stand to watch something bad? I struggle to be present to the unbecoming of some kind of unearthed grief masquerading as violence. Yet we must go into our own pain, through and past and under and out of the very center heart of our own darkness. The light of how things work are for some kind of treasured process. The dark, raw underbelly is tired and just wants rest, a sorrowful kind of rest. My follow suit and forecast rips the head off of my own pain. The inner violence is extreme, and I learn to connect with and become curious about my inner imagery of violent means and violent ends. I am committed, deeply committed, to leaning into the medicine held and honored at the center of my darkest parts. It can be hard to share with others what your darkest parts are. Oh, itchy. And it can also be hard for others to see, hear, witness, or perceive you in your darkest parts. I welcome darkness, these darkest parts. I think they're important for healing. And I think that if we can at least at minimum learn to welcome them from ourselves, or learn how to witness them in safety without being terrified of them, but to find a way to be co-regulatory within our own very dysregulated inner violence, we can provide some healing modeling for that part, for those parts of ourselves. And if we can do that within ourselves, then there's a likelihood that we'll be able to start seeing patterns between us and other people, just like we've been able to sort patterns between us and us, right? And once you know about yourself in that kind of way, it can be, you're not always right, because every human is different, but we are also very similar in our human experience. So some of the tools and resources that work inwardly and how you're relating with your own inner parts can oftentimes work interrelationally when you're in connection with another person or people or experience out in the world. So that is my invitation to you. I would love to know how you feel after a writing session, if anything stood out to you in the pages that I read or in your own pages that you would like to bring into space between us. or just sort of express as an offering. And again, because I would love this to be like a community building experience where more and more of us become practice in sharing our pages and our process. If you want to do a little, share of some form of something online, whatever that is, whether you're recording yourself or making a meme or just writing a quote in your comments attached to a picture you have, whatever that is, I would love it if you would tag me and let me know if I could uplift your voice somehow by sharing in my stories. If that would feel good and safe and regulated for you. So that's all. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being this sort of like, it's like almost, I feel like we're creating a little nest together. And it's nice to be in sort of this nest experience in a community care kind of a way, where you have your own nest, I have my own nest, but also we can like co-regulate between our nests together, and that feels really nourishing to me. So I hope it's nourishing to you as well. If anything is triggering for you, I invite you to hold yourself. If you need to be in a fetal position and just kind of like cry or shake or weep, that can be good medicine as well as having supportive friends, family, or mental or spiritual professionals to kind of help listen, hear, guide you through whatever process you might be moving into right now, whether that is the grief process or whether that is the learning to trust and experience a little more joy and expansion. Both can be scary for our bodies if they're past what we're used to. Okay. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye. Mwah.